Warning, the following 8-bit month-starting Gopher Day of Greatness flick is for mature as well as immature audiences as well. Viewer discretions have been advised. The following footage takes place approximately 15 minutes before this week's Indy Radio Arcade, as DJ Smokey stares at a calendar.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care. I don't care what that sick calendar says. I know today is the second day of the month of greatness, but at the same time, I know what today actually is. It's the day for that gopher. I refuse to share a day with some gopher, so you can forget about it. I'm not doing the show today. What do you mean I got no choice? What do you mean you already advertised it? Nobody told you to advertise that. I told you specifically several years ago, if any show happens to land on that day of that gopher, I'm not doing it. Check the records. Yeah, go back. Check the records. Look at the past couple of months or years we've done shows. Yeah, a little bit further back. Yeah, there you go. Yep. See that no in that category for that? No in that one, no in that one, no in that one, and no in that one. So I'm going to keep the tradition alive and continue to say no because I refuse to give a day for that
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, live from Morristown, New Jersey, it is the level 216 edition of the Indy Radio. Okay. And now here's your host, a man who has to give a day to that gopher whether he likes it or not, DJ Smokey.
I hate all of you, you know that, right? I hate every last one of you for this. But besides all that, folks, welcome to the Indy Radio Arcade Level 216 edition. I am your game show host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey. And we've got some 8-bit goodness to truly kick off your month of greatness on a great start, despite starting on a day for a gopher. Because we kick things off with what happened during this week's edition of the Royal Rumble from Indianapolis, Indiana, the 38th annual edition too. Nice. Also, besides that, we go into a very special Gopher Day film edition of the 3M and I already know what direction you're going in with this one because you mentioned Gopher Day with it, so yeah. I'm seriously, I hate you guys. Just saying that much. I'd like to reiterate that. Also, besides that, we go into a very special Xenomorph Team Squad Killing Edition of the Instant Classic video game review. And as a heads up for what game it is, it tells you to stay sharp in the field, you feel me? Then we put your high scores on high display along with some indie games along the way for another edition of the Indy Wall of Fame. Then finally, last but not least, we wrap up this show yet another edition of the $64,000 question that Carlin Maestro said that may or may not involve gophers. Oh great, I'm so happy to hear that. And I guess with Carlin Maestro rolling the machines, I might as well tell everybody at home to get out their pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes, Albanian money, or whatever coins you could use to prevent gophers from coming into your house for a month of greatness. Because it's time for us to get ready to play a very special 8-bit Great Month starting edition of the Indy Radio. Okay. It's time to play the game, kids.
All right, all you 8-bit wrestling fans out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And now it's time for us to go into another edition of the 8-bit pay-per-view. And the pay-per-view we have up on the plate for this week is none other than the 38th Annual Royal Rumble from Indianapolis, Indiana. And as a bit of a heads up before we kick things off, folks, this one of the big 4 pay-per-views, so we're definitely going to do it big. And also we'll be mentioning all of the entrants for the Royal Rumble matches. You know, as a heads up for those who don't know. And speaking of the said Royal Rumble match, the said Royal Rumble this year would kick off with the 8th Annual Women's Royal Rumble match. And to kick off the Royal Rumble for this year at number 1 would be none other than the genius of the sky herself, Io Sky. I almost called her Io Shirai, but either way you look at it, still pretty cool to see her start the Rumble, but yeah, a very long trek she would have to make during it, because at number 2 would be none other than Liv Morgan. Wow. You know, and funny enough, last year she returned at number 30, now at number 2. Oh, how the times have changed. Next number to enter in, folks, would be at number 3, the prodigy herself, Roxanne Perez, who would end up doing a side Russian leg sweep DDT combination to Io and Liv during this match. And in at number 4 would be none other than Laya Valkyria, followed by Chelsea Green, who would end up getting the Daylight's flag tag beaten out of her by all 4 women thus far in this match. At number 6, none other than B-Fab, who would then decide to kick Chelsea Green in the face the second she would get in the ring, for Ivy Nile to enter in next to do a nasty spine buster to Laya Valkyria during this match, and would proceed to deliver German suplexes to everyone in sight, and then would even deliver a double suplex of the German variety to Chelsea Green and Roxanne Perez. At number 8, representing the Pure Fusion Collective, none other than Zoe Stark, who would come out once again with the war paint and would hit none other than a tiger knee to the face of the woman who eliminated her last year. Ouch! Only for Lash Legend to come out at number 9 and would bring the power game to the said Rumble and would end up using Ivy Nile as a weapon before hitting her with a disgusting powerbomb. But unfortunately, during all the chaos, B-Fab would get taken out by Chelsea Green, only for number 10 to arrive in the form of the EST of WWE of Bianca Belair. And to prove how much of an EST she is during this match, would not only end up doing a backflip 10-count punch to everybody that was in the ring standing, but then would proceed to show off her strength as well too. Yeah, I don't know why, but every year during the Royal Rumble really tends to show out. Only for number 11 to be none other than Shayna Baszler, helping out none other than her partner of Zoe Stark. Only for Ivy Nile during all the chaos to take out the first ever women's Intercontinental Champion of Laya Valkyria during the chaos. And for Bayley to enter in at number 12, defending her Royal Rumble win, only for her to go immediately after Roxanne Perez, seeing the fact that they had a triple threat match, or they're going to, at Vengeance Day, looking to get an early head start. And then would immediately run into her damage control sisterin, or former damage control sisterin of Io Sky, and would get distracted. Only for Sonya Deville to make a return to the Rumble at number 13, unlucky 13 for Io Sky and Bayley, who would end up getting a tiger knee right directly to the face, followed by the Deville's advocate to Chelsea Green, and for Chelsea Green to roll out of the ring and call for timeout. Then at number 14, we would see none other than Maxine Dupree, who would enter into the Rumble and immediately take it to Ivy Nile and hit her with a nasty fisherman suplex and a German suplex.
and would end up trying to do the reverse caterpillar, which would work, and would take out Ivy Nile, but unfortunately would get eliminated by the members of the Pure Fusion Collective. Only for Naomi to enter in at number 15 and would take out all 3 members of the Pure Fusion Collective with a select amount of kicks, and then would end up joining alongside with Naomi, or Bianca Belair, thank you for the correction, in the form of a double KOD to none other than Zoe Stark, and then would help them eliminate all 3 of the members of the Pure Fusion Collective therefore after. Next up in the Rumble, representing Out the Mud, would be none other than Jada Parker, or as Bernie Mac would call her, Miss Parker, who would enter into the Rumble and would join in to take it to Chelsea Green, only for her to take out Lash Legend during this match. And then next up, for a little bit of backup for Chelsea, thank goodness, would be none other than Piper Nivens, who would decide to wait until she got back inside the ring. Chelsea, that is, would wait until Piper would get back into the ring for her to pull off a double crossbody to the tag champions and even a black hole slam to Bayley. Meanwhile, in the background, folks, Chelsea would end up getting eliminated due to Piper Nivens via an accident. So the same thing that happened last year happened again this year. Ouch. Only for Natalya to enter in at number 18 with a 17-plus number to a record, seeing the fact that last year she kicked off the Women's Royal Rumble. Nice! And would immediately hit Bayley with a Natty by Nature clothesline to kick off the match. Jeez, you know, Bayley's been taking a lot of abuse during this match that I've noticed thus far. But next up would be none other than Impact's own, or TNA's own, former TNA Knockouts champion, Jordynne Grace, the Juggernaut. And her first order of business would immediately to be to take out Miss Parker, that I got a feeling a lot of people were upset about. Well, not as upset as the fact that, you know, Chelsea Green was eliminated, because I heard the boos. And then immediately would hit a Death Valley Driver directly to Piper during the said contest. Only for Michin to enter in at number 20. And then at number 21, wow, the surprise return after a 2-year absence from the company, none other than the Twisted Sister herself, Little Miss Bliss. And, you know, I should have said 5 Feet of Fury, too, because she brought that during the match and would even be able to pull off her insult to injury during this said contest, too. Only for number 22 to be none other than the living cosplay wrestler herself, Zelina Vega. And I mean that in the most awesome way known possible, folks, because every single year she cosplays as some form of fighter from another video game. Because for those who don't believe me, 1 year Vega, 1 year I do believe Yuri. I don't know who she dressed up as this year for the Royal Rumble. I may have to look it up and ask some friends who watch a lot of anime fighting shows. But either way, still was able to represent by not only pulling off a tornado DDT to Piper during this match, and even an avalanche code red to none other than Grace during the said contest. Not bad. Not bad. Meanwhile, at number 23, we would see none other than Candice LeRae in this set contest, followed by Stephanie Vaquer, who would enter in with a springboard crossbody to Bayley. Seriously, what did Bayley ever do? To get hurt as many times as she would during this set contest. And next up, folks, we would see none other than a little bit of Stratisfaction in the form of Trish Stratus in the ring at 25 to celebrate 25 years of Stratisfaction. And how would she celebrate that, folks? With not only a chick kick to Candice LeRae, but a little bit of Stratisfaction to Natalya during this set contest. And luckily for Liv Morgan during this set contest, the next entrant would be none other than Raquel Rodriguez, who would enter in this match at 26 and would not only pull off a big boot, but an assisted powerbomb by Liv Morgan directly onto Natty. And then during the set contest, we would see a code breaker over the ropes on the apron, sending out none other than Natalia during this match. And then in a heartbreaking moment, we would see Miss Bliss get eliminated too by Liv Morgan on the outside with a code breaker. Only for the penultimate number to be given to none other than, Charlotte Flair making her return back to WWE with pyrotechnics and a red dress reminding me of something from Alice in Wonderland. And this would be the first time we would see Charlotte Flair in well over a year since her last appearance in December of 2023. Yikes! And how would the Queen return to try to get her crown back? Not only chopping Roxanne, but Bayley and Bianca and Jordynne Grace during the set contest, only for Michin to get the boot and get out of the ring thanks to the Queen, as well as Piper Nivens as well too. Then at number 28, none other than the international superstar herself, Julia, making her way to the ring and would immediately give a headbutt and a knee to take out Jordynne Grace during this contest. And at number 29, none other than Nia Jax, who would end up throwing out Zelina Vega, who would try to fight her hardest to stay inside the ring, but would get eliminated. Then we would see Trish taking care of Candice LeRae during this set contest, only for Candice to grab Trish's leg for Nia to take advantage to get her out. And then finally, last but not least, at number 30, none other than Nikki Bella. I'm surprised Nikki Cross wasn't in it, but hey, Nikki Bella, one of the Bella twins, into this contest, not only seeing everyone trying to help take out Nia, but no. And after that failed attempt, Nia would decide to take out 6 people, including number 1 and Liv Morgan during this contest. Only for Julia to get knocked out thanks to Roxanne Perez, and then Bayley to get knocked out thanks to Nikki. So we won't see a back-to-back winner of the Royal Rumble match, only for Charlotte Flair to take out Nia Jax, and then we would then see the last person in this match, Roxanne, trying to go up against the Queen, only for the Queen to behead her with a boot, and the Queen to head back to the main event stage of WrestleMania by winning this year's 8th annual Women's Royal Rumble, and becoming the first woman, like we said before, to be a horsewoman to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles, or at least 2 Royal Rumbles. So our prediction of Charlotte winning, we knew it, and at the same time, congratulations. So I got a feeling this is most likely gonna lead to either her fighting Rhea again, or going for some new blood going after Tiffany Stratton. I really hope it's the second one and not the first. But then again, it is, I got a feeling that's gonna be the rubber match. But before we get off track, folks, the next match to take place during this said pay-per-view, because yes, there was matches outside of Rumbles, would see none other than the Motor City Machine Guns of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. One sec, folks. Hail Sabin! To go up against DIY of Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. And during this match, DIY would definitely try some sneaky tactics that would work to perfection, not only pulling off a false tag, actually sending the Motor City Machine Guns to a loop for Tommaso Ciampa to take advantage with an SD Sagat style Tiger knee directly to the face, and would immediately get the first fall in this 2 out of 3 falls match that I forgot to mention. Only for during this match a shatter machine to take place by DIY to Alex Shelley for near fall. Even the skull and bones that would be pulled off during this match during all the chicanery for the Motor City Machine Guns to tie things up. And then we would see not only a fairy tale ending supercut combination for near fall, a disgusting Project Ciampa, and for those who don't know what that move is, a powerbomb lung blower combination only for near fall. Even the sliced bread number 2 powerbomb combination for near fall thanks to Johnny Gargano. But when it looked like the Motor City Machine Guns was going to leave the Speed City capital of the world with the tag team championships, a man with a hood on would decide to come up on the apron, while the other member of the Motor City Machine Guns would get hit with a crutch, only for the team of the said DIY variety to win this match with a meet in the middle for them to celebrate their tag team title win, but not for long, via pinfall. And what do I mean by that, folks? Well, directly after they would end up winning and it would be revealed that it was the Street Profits that did this, they would then beat the Ever-Living Daylights flag tag out of the said DIY during the said contest, causing, I do believe, Tommaso Ciampa to get busted open. But according to Carl and the Maestro, that was thanks to the fact that he ran into the turnbuckle post during one of the earlier portions of this match. Yeah, yikes. And the next match that takes place during this said Royal Rumble would see none other than the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes going one-on-one against the Frankenstein monster himself, Kevin Owens, in a ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship. And during this contest where we saw them fight in the crowd, fight outside the ring, and even fight around or in the ring with ladders aplenty, even seeing none other than Kevin Owens using a ladder to hit the spine of one Cody Rhodes. And not to mention a black suplex that would lead onto a mini ladder, a powerbomb off a ladder, pop-up style almost, by Kevin Owens to Cody Rhodes, a suplex on a ladder by Cody to none other than Kevin Owens during this set contest, and even a back body drop to Kevin Owens on a sideways ladder. That seems to be his fate all the time during these ladder matches, which I'm surprised he would agree to this. And I got a feeling the regret would show up for Cody Rhodes as well, because he would get powerbombed onto a ladder in the corner, only for him to suffer the wrath of a fisherman's buster on the ladder. And yeah, it would even hurt Kevin Owens during that too. Avalanche style, before we forget. Only for the officials to show up to try to check on both of them, with Nick Aldis and even seeing Sami Zayn coming out to check up on the both of them. But do you think Sami would get involved after that? Nope. He would sit by idly to watch as a Crossroads get hit on Kevin Owens, for Kevin Owens to fight back with a low blow, trying to hit a package pile driver on that table that have no give, only for none other than the American Nightmare to pull out an Alabama slam right directly through the ladder, with KO's head landing awkwardly in the ladder. And I got a feeling if this was Dave Mirra too, who would say player cratered after that moment, only for Cody Rhodes to climb up, grab the championships, and for Sami Zayn to check on his best friend as Cody Rhodes makes his way to WrestleMania once again, still your undisputed champion, via capturing the championships. You know, I need to get into a better lead-in for that, according to Carl and the Maestro, and you're right. And the next match to take place during this said pay-per-view would be our main event of the evening, which would be the 38th annual Men's Royal Rumble match. Now, for those who don't know the rules are simple. For those who enter in at number 1 and 2, they will start the match. And the only way you can get eliminated is if you go over the top rope with both feet touching the floor. Last man standing will be able to go main event the 41st annual WrestleMania from Viva Las Vegas. And Carla the Maestro said, I paraphrased the rules, but either way you look at it, still the rules. And to kick off the Royal Rumble for this year, and at a number lower than he had 19 years ago, none other than Rey Mysterio at number 1. Now, for those wondering, in 2006, he won from number 2, so being at number 1 should be fine, right? But who would get number 2? Well, it would be none other than El Cero Miedo himself, Penta, getting El Numero Dos. And yes, Carla the Maestro, that's the best Spanish I'm going to give you for tonight. But would come in wearing blue, and at the same time we would see back and forth chants for Rey Mysterio and Penta during the set contest, only for Rey Mysterio to pull off the same Hurricanrana that he would use to take out the Big Show to win the Rumble, almost to take out Penta during the set contest. Only for one of Penta's feet to touch the floor, but if you look very carefully, I'm pretty sure both of Penta's feet touch the floor, but I guess the rules don't apply. But in at number 3, a man who really does have luchador problems, Chad Gable. And Chad Gable would have more problems by not only suffering an assisted back senton splash that would land on his knee. Ouch! Only for Carmelo Hayes to head into the ring and deliver a nasty crucifix and scissors directly to Penta during this match, and even a springboard DDT to Rey Mysterio that looked pretty. Even seeing none other than a combinational springboard clothesline German suplex to Penta during the set contest with the help of Chad Gable. Then in at number 5, we would see Santos Escobar in this set contest, not only delivering a 619, but also a Mexican destroyer, only to get a 619 of his own from the master. Then we would see Chad Gable getting hit with a 4-way super kick during this set contest. And then in at number 6, none other than the number 1 guy himself, Otis, who would not only hit a choke bomb on Santos Escobar, aka a 1031, but at the same time, it's something that really surprised the hell out of me. He would slap the taste right out of the mouth of Chad Gable during this set contest, so much so that Rey Mysterio looked like he ate SpaghettiOs and said, "Oh, jeez." And the crowd was about surprised as everybody else was, and it did knock the equilibrium out of Chad Gable, but not enough for him to deliver a suplex of the German variety to Otis. Only for Braun Breaker to make his way in at number 7, only to take out Carmelo Hayes and spear him right out of his shoes and eliminate him. And would even take out Santos during the set contest, only for Tozawa to make it in at number 8. But wait, folks, a jealous Carmelo Hayes would still be on the field, and would then immediately take out Akira Tozawa for Triple H to look backstage and say, well, somebody's got to enter in the Rumble. Who's going to do it? Now, I thought it was going to be time to play the game and we're going to see Triple H in the Rumble, but instead he would say, you over there. Yeah, you. Go in the Rumble, buddy. And who would that you be, folks? None other than ISHO Speed, who would enter in the Royal Rumble. Why? Why? What? What's going on? Where was R-Truth? Where was everybody else? But yeah, he would help Braun Breaker eliminate Otis during his set contest, and then would decide to do a celebratory backflip like if he was playing Fortnite, but at the same time, he should have really watched his 10s and 2s or 6s and 12s during this match, because immediately after pulling off that backflip, Braun Breaker would start to run the ropes at the speed of a school bus in a school zone, and with full ISO speed with a nasty spear, then would pick him up above his head, Gorilla Press style, throw him out of the said ring for Otis to catch him, and throw him onto the announce table for ISO Speed to fall over, and for Michael Cole to ask, hey buddy, you okay? You okay there, buddy? You alright? You alright? No, Michael Cole, he's not alright. He's not alright. And if you're wondering how bad of a not alright he is, he was wearing a neck brace the next day, so yeah, he's not alright at all. At all. Then at number 9, to get this program back on track, we would see none other than the Celtic Warrior himself, Sheamus. And he would deliver 10 beats of the Baldwin to Chad Gable and Braun Breaker, only to counter a spear from Braun into a bro kick during the set contest. Then at number 10, Big Jim, none other than Jimmy Uso, coming into this match delivering super kicks galore and even a whisper in the wind to Penta. Nice! And at number 11, El Idolo, none other than Andrade in this set contest, who would deliver a nasty forearm or a Rana to none other than Penta during this set contest, and a nasty forearm to Sheamus. And in at number 12, we would see none other than the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu during this match and would destroy everything in his sight. Not only taking out Andrade, Rey Mysterio, and Penta during this said contest, but they were still in the Rumble. Because we would see, up until that moment, a double Samoan drop to the Luchadors for Chad Gable and Rey to be out during this said contest thanks to him, as well as Andrade. Yeah, taking out 3 people during this said contest were at number 13, European Excellence, Ludwig Kaiser at the unlucky 13, who would decide to stay out of the match and wait until Penta had his eye off the ball, only for him to get into the match and be eliminated in just about 2 seconds. Not beating Santino Marella's record, but at the same time, somebody from Europe once again getting a short time in the Rumble. I find it surprising, I really do. Then in at number 14, none other than The Miz, who would not only almost, and horseshoes and hand grenades, take out Braun, and would hit Jay with a skull-crushing finale. But at number 15, if you said his name, he appeared. None other than the TNA World Champion himself, Joe Hendry. Not only leading the fans into a bit of a stomping clap for a "We Will Rock You," but would rock The Miz with a standing ovation. Nice! Then at number 16, we would see none other than the OTC and the Tribal Chief, none other than Roman Reigns with pyrotechnics, of course. And how would Roman start off his first Royal Rumble that he would participate in well over 5 years? Well, not only a spear to The Miz to take him out, a spear to Sheamus to take him out, a spear to Joe Hendry and take him out, even a spear to Breaker. But unfortunately, yeah, after Breaker would spear him, Roman would still be able to fight and take out Braun Breaker after getting speared. Only for Big Jim to get taken out by Jacob Fatu after trying to help Roman Reigns back up to his feet. Then in at number 17, the Scottish Terminator Drew McIntyre and a man on a mission to immediately team up with Jacob Fatu to take out Roman Reigns while talking trash to him and trying to direct traffic. Then Finn Balor would come in at number 18 and would take it to Roman Reigns and even deliver a sling blade to Penta. Then at number 19, the Wayward Samurai himself, Shinsuke Nakamura, who would immediately take it to Roman, but would get a Mexican destroyer, or according to Carl and the Maestro, Roman Reigns would get the crap kicked out of him by Shinsuke Nakamura, but in the background, a Mexican destroyer to Jacob Fatu, only for Finn, who was the launching pad for that Mexican destroyer, to take out Penta. Yikes! Then in at number 20, it's just me, Uso, none other than Jey Uso, in at number 20 for this said Rumble, and would immediately spear Drew McIntyre and take out Shinsuke Nakamura. And at number 21, I am phenomenal! None other than the phenomenal AJ Styles returning back to the ring and proving why in the world this man is phenomenal by not only doing a running drop kick to the knee of Drew McIntyre, but a very hellacious grounded version of a phenomenal forearm right directly to the face of Drew McIntyre. And in at number 22, and Carl and the Maestro said, go ahead and say it, the quilted quicker picker-upper. None other than Braun Strowman back in the ring and would immediately get his revenge on Jacob Fatu with not only a headbutt, crossbody, and a power slam sending Jacob Fatu packing, only for Jacob to go completely ape crap crazy. Now, if you're wondering why I say that, folks, it's because not only did he slam the stuff out of the announce table, but right as he saw Pat McAfee get up out of that chair, or whoever was sitting on the left, he picked up the chair and threw it at Braun Strowman while he was in the ring. He's crazy. He's nuts. And Michael Cole said he scares the you-know-what out of me. and trust me, he does too. He does too. If I was sitting at ringside and watching him just immediately go ballistic. But But to get things back on track, folks, at number 23, we would see none other than John Cena, who you can see make his way to the ring at 23 in Colts gear. Only for Braun Strowman to get out thanks to John Cena, and as well as an attitude adjustment on the apron to Finn Balor, who would catch, or more or less Finn, who would get catched by Braun Strowman during the said contest. And during the chaos, folks, we would see a spear to Drew McIntyre by Roman Reigns, only for CM Punk to enter in at number 24 for the fans to sing his song. Only for another man who would have a song sing for him as well, Seth freaking Rollins, to enter in at number 25. And would immediately go after CM Punk, as you would. And then for Dominic Mysterio to enter in at 26 and hit a frog splash to John Cena. And would get a Samoan drop by Roman Reigns. Yeesh. Then in at number 27, we would see Sami Zayn, who would finally get Drew McIntyre with that Helluva Kick, and even Seth Rollins in the process. Only for Damian Priest to enter in at number 28, and would immediately do an old school crossbody to Drew McIntyre. Now, I'm surprised he was able to pull this off, seeing the fact that the Rumble is a very dangerous match to be doing those sort of moves. But according to Colin the Maestro, nobody was paying attention, so go with the flow, man. Go with the flow. Then we would then see none other than a choke slam to Dominic Mysterio by Damian Priest, and followed up by a toss out to Dominic Mysterio, who tried to hit him with a 619 after a Maven-esque like dropkick. Then in at number 29, the penultimate number according to CM Punk, none other than L.A. Knight, yeah, who would then immediately do a pop-up elbow drop after saying what we just said with the help of 70,000 strong, and then would see a super kick, and Sami Zayn would get sent out after trying to help Roman Reigns back up to his feet for Cross backstage, who was not a part of the Rumble, to be pissed off and call him a certain amount of words and wanted to take him out. But according to Scarlett, not now, but soon. I don't like the sound of that. Then in at number 30, the internet darling himself, none other than Logan Paul, and according to Colin the Maestro, the YouTube darling, or America's most hated next to Kevin Federline, Logan Paul. And how would he enter in the match, folks? Not only a buckshot lariat to AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, only for in the background Damian Priest to throw out Drew McIntyre for him to be pissed. And then after we would see Logan Paul, who almost got eliminated, to jump to the announce table and still be in the match. And at the same time, after seeing that, I thought, wait a minute, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the New Day, for the first time in years, would not be a part of the Royal Rumble match. And with Logan doing a Kofi spot, who would still be in the ring, we would then see LA Knight taking out Damian Priest, and as AJ Styles was gearing up for a phenomenal forearm, he would then get tossed out thanks to Logan Paul, who would grab his leg, taking him out of the Rumble. Boo! Boo! And yes, I was booing the television set when I saw that. Only for CM Punk to take out Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, but unfortunately would take his eye off the ball and be eliminated by Logan Paul. So after we would see on the outside of the ring Roman Reigns yelling at CM Punk for that, Seth Rollins would hit a curb stomp right directly on Roman Reigns, and then would immediately super kick Punk after they would end up in a street fight around the ring, only for none other than Roman Reigns, who would be breathing, writhing, and just hurt after that, to get the riot act read for them from Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins that is, for him to flip him the bird and immediately hit Roman with a curb stomp. Now, for those who's wondering why in the world is this so important for what just happened right now, for those who don't know, this was the same place, the same state that we would see not only the Shield get together, the Shield break up, and the Shield get back together again. So yeah, after cracking him upside the skull, I got a feeling there ain't gonna be no holiday thank you cards to the House of Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins in the near future after that. But as the chaos was controlled inside of the ring, and after some very viable people was eliminated during this match, including Logan Paul, thanks to John Cena, yay! We would see the last two people in this match in the form of Jey Uso and John Cena. And during this contest, we would see John Cena trying to pull off the 5 moves of doom, but a super kick that would then see both men fighting on the apron. Back and forth they went. Super kick to the face. John Aloha Oi staying in the ring. But as he would try to go for an attitude adjustment, his attitude would get adjusted by Jey Uso, pushing him out of the ring, eliminating him, and for Jey Uso to finally live up to his main event stature, making his way to the main event of WrestleMania in Vegas by winning the 38th annual Royal Rumble match. And as Michael Cole and everybody in the building would get emotional and immediately go into a yeet extravaganza of a party, we would see him point at the sign, high and pyrotechnics going off for Jey Uso to immediately celebrate with the fans, celebrate with his son, and then would see them dancing on the announce table, and then for him to say it's gonna be a party tonight, and it's my turn, Oos, it's my turn, cause it's just me, Oos. And backstage, we would see him celebrating with Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso as well, celebrating the fact that he won the Royal Rumble match. For the Royal Rumble for this year to come to a close with a lot of emotion and a possible star-making night for main event, Jey Uso. And join us next time, folks, when we come into your homes as of March 1st for the most brutal pay-per-view on the last stop to the road to WrestleMania, none other than the Elimination Chamber from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And as a little bit of a heads up, we got word as of the press conference that none other than John Cena will be entering in the Royal Rumble match to try to assert himself for his 17th world title at WrestleMania. Whew. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music. And when we return, we'll be back with more of that 8-bit goodness as the Indy Radio Arcade rolls on right after a word from our sponsor. So don't hit pause on those controllers just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, all you moviegoers out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And now it's time for us to go into yet another Film Reel edition of the 3MR. And the movie we have up on the plate for this week is none other than the classic Bill Murray film of Groundhog's Day. Now, for those out there wondering why in the world we refuse to do a show on Groundhog's Day, it's mostly because of this movie. And thanks to a friend who actually requested this song that was featured during that said movie to play and give me nightmares when I woke up one morning on Groundhog's Day thinking I was in a time warp. Yeah, that's my reasonings behind that, if anybody ever wondered. But besides a traumatic experience that he laughs about to this very day, and I hope he's listening out there, the meat and potatoes of this said film features none other than the news anchor who would decide to cover the classic event in Pennsylvania with Punxsutawney Phil in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, to not only lie about an upcoming winter storm, but would end up in a time warp because of it, or because of other events that led up toward it. And with those meat and potatoes out of the way, folks, what do we like about this said film? Well, for one, the fact that this was this was directed by one of the Ghostbusters, Harold Ramis. Yeah, nice. And not only that, but seeing the fact that the people that was featured during this said film as well too, including the man, the myth, the legend, or what a certain person in Zombieland would call him, Bill Effin Murray, who would not only be a part of the said following films of not only Rushmore as Herman Blue, but also a part of the said film of Life with Aquatic, or The Life Aquatic with Steve, and as Steve Zissou during that said film, but would also be Mr. Bishop and Moonrise Kingdom, as well as the classic films everybody know him as, is not only Peter Venkman, a part of the classic film of Ghostbusters, and a part of the 2021 revive of Ghostbusters Afterlife, but would also play himself in Zombieland and Zombieland 2, and even would be featured a part of the classic other Gopher film of Caddyshack as the groundskeeper. And seeing the fact that we can't be here all night mentioning the career accomplishments of Bill Murray, next up you have none other than Andy McDowell, who was also featured during this film as Rita, but would also be featured during the 1989 film of Sex, Lies, and Videotape as Anne, as well as playing Anna in the movie Hudson Hawk featuring Bruce Willis. Nice! And would also be Carrie, a part of the film of 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Not bad. And according to Call of the Maestro, where we can mention one more film, she was also the big cat in the film of Red Right Hand. Thank you for the correction. Then you have none other than Chris Elliott, who would not only be Eagleheart during the TV show of Eagleheart, but would also be a part of this said film as Larry for Groundhog's Day, Dom, a part of the 98 film of There's Something About Mary, even playing Nathaniel Mayweather in the classic film of Cabin Boy, absolutely hilarious, and even playing Bendix in The Abyss, and would also be a part of none other than Clarice Gross as Ted Reynolds. No, just saying. Then you have none other than Stefan Tobolsky, who would not only be a part of this film as Ned in Groundhog's Day, but would also be Max, a part of Thelma and Louise, Mitchell Meyerson in Single White Female, as well as playing Charlie in the classic film of Wild Hogs in 2007, and would also be a part of the Lopez vs. Lopez TV show as Sam Van Bryan for only 2 episodes. Then you have none other than, and according to Call of the Maestro, none other than, apparently according to Call of the Maestro, Brian Doyle Murray, who would not only be a part of Caddyshack as Lou Loomis, and would also be Buster, a part of the 93 film of Groundhog's Day, this film, and even seeing him as Noah Vanderhoff in Wade's World in 92, as well as playing none other than Jack Ruby in the movie of JFK. Next up on the plate, and according to Call of the Maestro, before we could possibly forget because the voice sounded familiar and they tapped me on the shoulder to remind me, he would be none other than the Flying Dutchman, not only a part of the video game of Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl 2, but also featured in the said series of SpongeBob SquarePants for 14 episodes. That's weird. I always thought he was a part of more episodes than that. And he was even the fisherman, a part of the TV show of Family Guy. Next up on the plate, you have Margita Garrity. And hopefully we said that name right, because not only she would play Nancy, a part of the film of Groundhog's Day, but would even play Julie, a part of the film of Sleeping with the Enemy in 91, and would play a woman, a part of Broadcast News in 1987, as well as playing a woman in a restaurant in Don Juan DeMarco. Not bad. Next up on the plate, you have the late great Angela Patton, who would not only be Mrs. Lancaster, a part of the film of Groundhog's Day, but would even be a doctor in the 90s film of Flatliners, as well as playing Mrs. Holmes and Lolita, and would also play the grandma featured in the film of American Wedding. Next up on the plate after that, you have Rick Duncombe. And hopefully we said that name right, because he would be a part of the film of The Burbs as Art Weingartner, and as well as playing Gus, a part of the film of Groundhog's Day, and even playing Cindy's dad in the 2000 film of Scary Movie. And the scary thing about that is that movie is well over 25 years old now. Yikes! And would even play a prison guard, a part of the classic film of Spaceballs. Then finally, last but not least, since Carl and the Maestro said we can't be here all night, you would have none other than Rick Overton, who would not only play Friend Jin in the film of Willow in 1988, but would also play Ralph in the 93 film of Groundhog's Day, as well as playing Terry Wilson in The Informant, and even playing Deputy Pete Willis in the movie of Eight-Legged Freaks, starring David Arquette, a movie that I still refuse to watch to this day because I'm terrified of spiders. And with all those actors listed, and not to spoil anything from this film too much, one of my favorite scenes a part of this said film would have to be the scene where you would see none other than the newscaster stealing Puxatawny Phil and ending up in a car chase with the said gopher driving the car, which is absolutely ridiculous no matter which way you look at it. And according to Carl and the Maestro, they said they didn't know that gopher could drive, but apparently he could. And very talented at it too. And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review films along the lines of Siskel and Ebert or any of those other film reviewers that you know of out there, we say this. If you guys out there want to go ahead and check out a movie that features a guy named Phil talking about a said gopher named Phil and a place called Phil, where he would try to fill in the gaps to hopefully fill his life back up from the loop that he lives in, then I recommend you go out there and watch that flick. And please, oh please, don't listen to the song of Sonny and Cher of I Got You Babe while watching this movie afterwards, because it might give you a traumatic experience as a kid. And to the guy who did that, yeah, you know who you are, and not funny, man, and not cool. Not cool. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with more 8-bit goodness as the Indie Radio Arcade rolls on, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't hit pause on those controllers just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Alright, all you Xenomorph fighting champions out there, welcome back to the Indie Radio Arcade. And now it's time for us to go into another edition of the Instant Classic Video Game Review. And the game we have up on the plate for you this time is none other than Aliens Dark Descent. And it took me a while to find the name of this game out because we completely forgot the name of it when we mentioned it a part of one of the shows we did. And the, wait for it, and the meat and potatoes for this said game features you 19 years after the Aliens films, and insert character name, class, and rank here, trying to help out Deputy Administrator Mako Hayes, who decides to initiate the said Cerberus protocol to try to detain the xenomorphs that ran loose on the Pioneer ship, as you try to help out as many people as you can whilst trying to prevent that said protocol from going off. And not to mention keeping it a secret from the people who saved you from the ship in the first place. And that's the best meat and potatoes that we can provide for this game for you fans at home. And with those meat and potatoes out of the way, folks, what do we like about this game? Well, first off, a chance for you to control 4 separate soldiers as you make your way through xenomorph-infested planets, using some of the best tech known to man. And speaking of that tech, folks, some of my favorite things about this game would have to include the weapons, which includes not only the pulse rifle, the smart gun, the heavy pulse rifle, the plasma rifle, even the service pistol, revolver, and submachine gun. Another thing that I loved about this game would have to be the said secondary tech weapons that you get a chance to use during this as well. Not only the shotgun, the incinerator unit or flamethrower, mines, rocket launcher, and even sniper rifle that you get a chance to use during this said game as well too. Another thing that I loved about this game would have to be the fact of the different amount of days you can collect materials and items to help you out before you head off to a major mission. But at the same time, that comes with a double-edged sword, folks, because the more time you spend trying to gather resources or help out your soldiers, you run a risk of running the level of infestation up higher throughout the days you do this. And I would find this out the hard way when I tried to go to one of the planets, and yeah, the whole planet was covered with those xenomorphs, and boy oh boy, it led to a high-risk situation, let me tell ya. Another thing that I loved about this game would have to be the fact that you can actually train your said soldiers in the barracks with the training room, and even get a chance to have them learn new skills to help you out on the field as well too. And the last but not least thing that I loved about this game, outside of the fact that it does come with New Game Plus and a new level and a new ability that you can learn once you beat the main part of the game, would have to be the fact of the different forms of abilities that comes with the said classes as well too. Yeah. Oh, and Carl and the Maestro decided to add their 2 cents in by saying the thing that they loved about this game as well would have to be the fact that for every hive queen you kill, you get new things researched for you from the laboratory. Or laboratory for you Dexter's Laboratory fans out there. Now, with everything that I liked about this game, what didn't I like about this game? Even though it wasn't possible for this game to be multiplayer, I would have loved to have Juju and company join alongside with me to get my back while watching these said aliens make their way and try to take me out. That would have been a fun option to have. Another thing that I wasn't a big fan of for this game would have to be the aiming for the said rocket launcher that was featured during it. Because for those out there who ever played this game and tried to take out a giant oversized queen or any of the other heavy creatures in this game, for example a crusher that would try to take you out, yeah, trying to aim at it with a rocket launcher and it not really locking onto it or hitting a wall or missing the target completely, really wish they would have had a homing rocket launcher that you get a chance to use to take out these creatures in the game, but unfortunately no. And the last but not least thing that I wasn't a fan of for this game, speaking of the training room we mentioned earlier, is the fact that no matter how many days you go through the game, yeah, you can't train them higher than the level that was listed below. And I'm not sure if that was a glitch or whatever it may have been, but for me, when I sent the trainer or a soldier to the training grounds and tried to go into heavy combat training, it did not get any higher than level 6. Granted, it should have been at rank 8, 9, or 10 at that point, but unfortunately it wouldn't reach a high level higher than that, which was weird. And with everything that we liked and didn't like about this game, what do we think they can do to improve upon it? Well, besides giving you a chance to modify your weapons that you have unlocked thus far, which was one thing they wouldn't allow you to do, to put a sight on a weapon to give you a higher percentage of accuracy, or even put a silencer on the weapon to prevent you from getting spotted from creatures that are running around the entire ships, or even a chance for you to have alternative ammunition to truly stick it to these said creatures, like for example, a chance for you to have incendiary rounds to truly take it to those creatures that tried to take you out. Or even, and Colin and Michael said acid rounds wouldn't really work on them, but at the same time, I would have loved to see if it was possible to take them out, and seeing the fact, and spoiler alert ahead of time, you are fighting humans during this, so acid rounds could have worked on them. Would have been nice to have. And not to mention you fight synths during this game too, so I think acid rounds would have helped out that, or electrical rounds. And finally, last but not least, the thing that I really wish they could add to improve upon this game, maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to upgrade the said robots that you bring onto the field. Even though they do have skills that you can upgrade for it, I mean a chance for you to have some form of extended magazine or even a higher accuracy for it as well too. And according to Colin and Maestro, there's a way you can do that after you beat the game, right? And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review games along the lines of gold, stars, coins, letters, or bricks, we review games in only two ways around here, folks. Will there be a video game story in the near future for this said game? And do we recommend this game for you, the Xenomorph hunting fan at home? Well, to answer that first question, folks, yes, there will be a video game story in the near future for this said game. And it might be as soon as either the month of greatness or the month of madness. All depending on how taking on a whole bunch of xenomorphs with a xenomorph queen while a giant oversized ship shoots a whole bunch of xenomorphs around me counts in that category. I don't know if it's great or insane, so we're still trying to figure it out, but trust me folks, there will be a video game story for this game in the near future. Don't you worry about that. And do I recommend this game for you, the Xenomorph hunter at home? Well, if you want to go ahead and play a game that tries to unscrew the mess that you screwed up while trying to save as many people as you possibly can, and at the same time getting in a panic for your characters to say, "Game over, man, game over," when their stress levels reach the highest point that they could possibly reach, giving you some special shout-outs to certain alien movies from back in the day. And even a DLC that includes, I do believe, the cat that was featured during the said film to give you some extra motivation if you got some change in your wallet. Then I recommend you go out there and cop that disc. And oh, before I possibly forget, as a bit of a heads up and a tip for this game, make sure you plant as many motion trackers around the area as possible to help save your behind while you're out there in the fields trying to stay sharp in the fields. You feel me? And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into the music once again, and when we return, we'll be back with more of the Indie Radio Arcade with the Indie Wall of Fame, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't run out of coins in the arcade just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, all you kings and queens and leaderboards out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And three things, folks. First off, the fact that the game of Alien Dark Descent, where things went totally to hell within seconds, and the fact that in certain moments if you tick off the xenomorphs to the point where they actually send waves of enemies after you, was another thing I loved about the game. But if you're one of those people like me who likes to go against the grain and try to fight everything, make sure you stockpile as much goods as possible to upgrade your soldiers, because they're gonna go through a lot. I know mine did. And secondly, according to Carl and the Maestro, this might be one of the last times we have the Indy Radio Arcade featured upon Groundhog's Day, due to the fact that it wasn't meant to be on this day. Oh, real funny. Real funny. I got a feeling that was another Groundhog's Day joke too, huh? Apparently no, it was an accident. All right? And finally, last but not least, I got a feeling in the near future, if they do come up with a sequel to Groundhog's Day, we'll mention it on the show on Groundhog's Day, just to prove I'm not afraid of it anymore. But besides me getting over a fear of Groundhog's Day and my despise of gophers since they like to attack my house every single year during the spring, I think it's time for us to spring into those high scores to put them on high display, along with some indie games along the way, for a Month of Greatness kickoff edition of the Indy Wall of Fame. And the first game that we have up comes from none other than the developers of Kimchi Kraken, nice name by the way, with their said game of I Can't Handle My Body. And this game automatically reminds me of a more darker version of Toy Story. And Carl and Michael said you haven't seen the last couple of ones, have you? No, not really. But yeah, I stick to my statement. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that you can get help from other toys to help you find a way through the world. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, apparently your final place to find to get out of here is the fireplace. What? Okay, I stick to my statement before about this game being a darker version of Toy Story. But besides finding your freedom inside of a furnace as a toy, the next game that we have up comes from the developers of Orbi Software with their said game of Auto Hero. And this game automatically reminds me of an old game from back in the day called Missile Command, with the exception that you're the helicopter for once and trying to take out enemies in a 2D-like space. Now here's hoping in the near future for this said game. Speaking of those said missiles, you get a chance to have some missiles to take out not only the aliens, but other creatures you would have to fight in this game as well too. Cause I got a feeling they're gonna have some form of proto beam, laser beam, or pulse rifle to take you out with, so yeah, here's hoping you get some form of missiles to even the playing field. Just a little bit. Or a chance for you to actually upgrade the said helicopter too. Because I don't see many people winning fights against aliens with, primitive helicopters as what they would call it. But besides using technology that we have now to take on future alien tech in the skies, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Dog Meme Interactive, nice name by the way, with their said game of Broken Wings, Hornet Down. And this game automatically reminds me of, for some strange reason, of Battlefield Los Angeles if it took place in Afghanistan. With the aliens and all that stuff, yeah. I got a feeling that's the same thing that's gonna happen here. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to find some form of weapon to defend yourself with in this said field, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to have somebody join you alongside with you on this journey. Cause I got a feeling that, yeah, you're gonna end up in a bit of trouble in this, and according to Colin Maestro, why yes you are, cause look at that skeleton over in the corner. Okay, now I really wish somebody would be there to help out during this journey. And Colin Maestro said, nope, you're on your own. You're on your own. Of course I am. But besides being on my lonesome to try to take on some form of ancient Markland beast underneath some form of spider cave-like cavern, And speaking of caverns, the next game we have up comes from the developers of Simple Gaming with their said game of Dungeon Rummage Survival. And this game automatically reminds me of one of those secret survival-like caves that you run into to find some very good loot by the end of it all. So, just about every RPG game I've played over the years where I took a wrong turn and decided to go fight enemies probably triple my level just to get some cool stuff. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that you find some form of ancient spell book to help you take on different enemies. And according to Carl and the Maestro, not too entirely sure if you can be a mage in this game, but here's hoping that I can find one. Yeah, to cut you off before you say you might have to fight one, I hope you find one so he can help you out in the field, because you're gonna need it, especially against that skeleton mage over on the left. And the last but not least game we have up to kick off this month of greatness comes from the developers Hogo Games with their set game of Cinema Simulator 2025. And this game automatically reminds me of the movies. And no, not that classic game made by the people who made The Sims, I mean the actual movie theater. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this said game that not only you get a chance to upgrade the seats, upgrade the said viewing experience you have with the projector, and even have a chance to have the theater shoot movies in 3D. And also staff members to help you clean up afterwards after the one jerk who decides to spill the popcorn on the ground and not pick it up. And also the jerk who leaves the gum on the floor and spill the soda so your feet's sticky all day after you go home. Yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints from people who work at movie theaters, so here's hoping there's a chance for you to have people help you clean up that mess, and also a chance for you to eject people out of the theater if they have their phones on during the film. Because that's rude. That's rude. But besides trying to live the big-time movie experience, folks, I think it's time for us to head into a couple of those high scores from the Twin Galaxies. And the first high score that we have up comes from none other than Marco 1019. Nice name, by the way, and love the sticker with Retro with Marco, with their said high score of 76,085, a part of the Atari 2600 VCS game of Bot and Tom. Next high score that we have up comes from the gamer known as Henrik Winden, with their said high score of, oh my god, let me get the glasses out for this one, folks, with their said high score of 214,140,420, a part of the PC game of Kiss Oblivion Tournament. Next high score that we have up after that, once again, comes from Marco19 with their said high score of 18,340, a part of the Atari 2600 game of Star Castle Arcade. Next high score after that comes from none other than John M. Bristol with their said high score of 228 miles per hour during the video game of Forza Horizon for the Xbox 360 for the Speed Trap Gladstone that they would have for them. 228 miles per hour, that's fast. Anyway, next high score that we have up comes from none other than Pat LaCroix with their set high score of 108,160, a part of the Atari VCS game of Aardvark. I never knew they had a game called Aardvark, but hey, learn something new every day. And the next high score that we have up after that comes from, once again, Marco19, or 1019, thank you for the correction, Carl and the Maestro, with their said high score of 2,928, a part of the Atari 26 VCS game of Robo City. Next high score after that comes from none other than Exa, with their said high score of 3,100,000. 189,000, a part of the arcade game of Arbel Blaster, or Arblaster? You know, we'll go with the second one with the game of Arblaster. And the next high score we have up comes from Jeffrey Sutter, with their said high score of 1,102,900, a part of the arcade game of Donkey Kong. Next high score after that comes from none other than Henry Winman, with their said high score of 130,800, a part of the Famicom NES game of Donkey Kong. A lot of Donkey Kong high scores. Anyway, next high score that we have up after that, once again, comes from EXA, with their said high score of 1,952,450, a part of the arcade game of Z-Blade, Operation Ragnarok. A nice name for the game. And the next high score that we have up after that comes from none other than John M. Briscoe, with their said high score of 129 miles per hour from the video game of Forza Horizon for the Xbox 360 for the speed trap of C203. Oh, almost going 203 in the 203 speed trap. Nice. Next high score that we have up after that comes from Mr. Flibble. Nice name, by the way, with their said high score of 2,544,330, a part of the Sega Mega Drive game of Fire Shark. Next high score that we have up after that comes from none other than Intellivision Master, with their said game of, or more or less their high score of 66 strokes, a part of the Intellivision flashback game of Chip Shot Pro Golf Trail of Tears. Oh, not bad. And the last but not least high score that we have up for this week, and Carla the Maestro, I'm gonna punch you for this one, comes from none other than Esther von Elf, with their said high score of 1,054,400 from the arcade game of R-Type 2. And for those wondering out there, I have a bad history with R-Type, and yeah, they like to point it out as many times as possible with the high scores other people have. I'm gonna get you for that. But before I do that, folks, if you guys and gals out there want to go ahead and check out any other cool high scores that are still being put on high display for this week, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Twitter page and website still named the same for one man only known as Twin Galaxies to win cool prizes and more for your high scores. And like always, folks, it's a fair trade. It really is. And the high score to kick off this month of greatness comes from none other than Wire the Man, who went under a different name but still critically acclaimed with his said high score of 214,140,820, a part of the PC game of Kiss Oblivion Tournament. You guys and gals out there want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still being pushed out through the Steam machine via the cargo ship, cargo plane, or even subterranean train that is currently rumbling underneath your toes, then you can go ahead and check it out on the store.steam power page of one man only known as store.steampower.com, and click ever so lightly on that upcoming button while getting some shoe shine polish out for that Indy button to check out a whole bunch of cool games that, in my opinion, are as good as gold. And apparently Carla the Maestro with a Lazy Susan with one of the games that got gilded proved my point. Nice. How much did that cost you? He said a lot of money. All right. And I guess with that said, folks, we might as well head back into that music once again, and when we return, we'll be back with another edition of the $64,000 question for this week, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't skip out on that bonus round just yet, folks, and stay tuned.
All right, all you Gopher driving champions out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade.
And now it's time for us to go into yet another edition of the $64,000 question. But before we go into this week's $64,000 question, we go into last week's $64,000 question, where we asked you for upwards of $493,000. Would you try and survive in the same prison that Jean-Claude Van Damme went to in the movie In Hell, with a 7-day bonus tack on of well over $64,000 if you're able to pass those said 7 days we listed before? And several of you out there would say the following: are you nuts? Another person would say, will you book our flight for that place? And the other person would say, do you even know where it's located? For the last guy to find out crystal clear where in the world was located by spending well over 2 weeks there with long hair and a beard after fighting some crazy guy on the yard screaming, "Ah!" So to that last guy, don't worry, your suffering does come with a little bit of a price tag on it, because congratulations, you go home with well over $941,000, which I got a feeling you're going to be using on months and months and months of therapy, especially with those crazy eyes you got once we got you out of there. Ugh. But to the other two people, no, I am not nuts, I'm not insane. We were clear-headed when we made this challenge. Didn't know it would go south like that. And to the other guy, when we booked the flight for you to go there, yeah, we did. We did for the other guy. You saw how that went. And do we know where that's located? Somewhere in Russia. You know, one of those undisclosed locations that they didn't want us to mention on the air, so I'll just leave it at that. And to roller skate our way right past that, folks, we now go into this week's $64,000 question, where we asked you for well over $222,000 and a challenge by Carl and Maestro, because they just said, you know what? Your challenge, and decided to come up with one of their own, saying, would you do a shot-for-shot remake of the gopher chase scene from the movie Groundhog's Day, and a bonus if you're able to ride shotgun with Bill Murray with the said gopher at the wheel? Yeah, I would love to ride with a shotgun with a gopher. You know what? Before I go ballistic, and before you answer that question at home, you gotta wait another 2 weeks there, you gopher drivers, because Carl and the Maestro is currently rolling out the machines, which means we've gotta bring the Indy Radio Arcade for this week to an emphatic close. But don't worry, if you miss any of this 8-bit goodness we were able to give you for this week, we got you covered. Because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr pages, still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag Indy Radio Arcade Level 216. And yes, Carl and my show, I got it right this week, because this is the month of greatness, and I'm great at getting numbers right. And if you guys want to figure out all the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for these 28 days of greatness, like a great challenge that was brought up to my attention by Carl and the Maestro against my will, then you can go ahead and check it out on the YouTube, Twitter, and Discord pages, only known as the Double Agent 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, you, the game show contestants out there, for listening in to another great month Gopher Day kickoff edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. We would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys, and here's hoping your music is used during the challenge to keep the gophers away. And Carl and Maestro said that defeats the purpose. Exactly, because I don't like gophers. But why in the world I believe in you guys, folks? Because we believe in you. Yeah, and you almost made me screw up that line mentioning them Gophers, so, knock it off. Knock it off. And speaking of people with great music that I got a feeling will keep the Gophers out of my yard this year, we would like to thank our musical guest for this week, none other than Tekno AXE with his said songs of Reprogrammed Reality that was featured during the intro for this week's edition of the show. And of course, for the song you're listening to right now of You Can't Dodge a Laser Chill Step Remix. That's currently being featured during the outro as we speak for this week's edition of the Indy Radio Arcade. And as always, Tekno AXE, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet video game hits and clips, as well as high scores that we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And like always, guys, keep them coming and keep up the great work, because you never know what show might be coming around the corner next. Hint, 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 hint. And I guess with the creepy janitor giving us that look to Van Moose while wearing the same suit Bill Murray wore during the film, I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro, and for the start of these 28 days of greatness that happens to land on a Gopher Day, saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we would like to thank you for playing a very special Great Month kickoff 8-bit Gopher Day celebration against my will edition of Indy Radio. Yeah. We're finished, man. We're done. Game over, man. Game over. And good night, everybody.
Warning. The following 8-bit month-starting Gopher Day of Greatness flick is for mature as well as immature audiences as well. Viewer discretions have been advised. The following footage takes place approximately 15 minutes before this week's Indy Radio Arcade, as DJ Smokey stares at a calendar.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care. I don't care what that sick calendar says. I know today is the second day of the month of greatness, but at the same time, I know what today actually is. It's the day for that gopher. I refuse to share a day with some gopher, so you can forget about it. I'm not doing the show today. What do you mean I got no choice? What do you mean you already advertised it? Nobody told you to advertise that. I told you specifically several years ago, if any show happens to land on that day of that gopher, I'm not doing it. Check the records. Yeah, go back. Check the records. Look at the past couple of months or years that we've done shows. Yeah, a little bit further back. Yeah, there you go. Yep. See that no in that category for that? No in that one, no in that one, no in that one, and no in that one. So I'm going to keep the tradition alive and continue to say no because I refuse to give a day for that gopher. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure I said this before. Am I having a case of deja vu? Am I really having a case of deja vu? Oh, no. I told you that's the reason why I didn't want to do a show on Groundhog Day is happening. I told you and I warned you, Carl and Meister, it's finally starting to happen. I'm starting to lose my mind in Groundhog Day with the Gophers. Not the Gophers. Not the Gophers.
Well, folks, we'll see you next week.
Oh, it was your idea, right? It was a joke, wasn't it? Where do you think you're going? Come back here before you...